Go.
Hello there guys, welcome to the second edition of the NPL podcast. I am your host, the Flying Bird, and I was with you on the pre-season podcast, but week 1 has recently been played in the NPL. I hope you guys have all checked out all our current coaches, watched all their videos, hit them with a like button, but this time around we decided, you know what, new week, new analysts to join us. First and foremost, I have the assistant coach of Trev CL here with us, also another member of our weekly podcast, Jarr.
What's up, everybody? Jarr Boss here. Sorry, Birb's got me all kinds of mixed up. And yep, I'm gonna be helping this week. What's up?
And also I'm joined by the weeaboo of the weeaboos. You know how much I love weeaboos. 681 Shadow, also known as Joey, the better Joey as I like to call him. Say hello.
Hey guys, 681 Shadow, and what an intro you made for me. Definitely.
Yeah. I definitely like to give the viewers a good first impression. I really like to show them a good support. But first and foremost, I'm just going to give you guys a bit of an outline of what we're going to do today, because this is the first week of it. So last week you saw us look at the drafts and a few things like that. You had a lot of story time with Birb, but this time there's not going to be as much story time because Birb's got an important job to do. So the first thing we're going to do is going to do a weekly recap. So we're going to quickly, probably spend about 3 minutes at most on each game. Really just look through each team, see what they did right, see what they did wrong. There's nothing wrong with constructive criticism in my eyes. Next up, we are then going to have a look at Birb Bets, which replaces the pick and crew, explain a little bit about what it is, why we decided to do it, and definitely, hopefully, at some point in the future, it will be open to more people. Then we're going to look at the sets of the week, so looking at what sets not necessarily were the most heat or most unique, but definitely what sets really helped a player in their match, and sometimes a bit of a support mon. You know, having a one random move is a lot better than having a mon with about 4 moves that can Oko your opponent. And then we're going to talk about the upcoming week. But first and foremost, I really wanted to talk about that next week, AIM unfortunately cannot play for us, as a lot of people do know. I don't know if you guys are all aware, but he has recently signed a massive deal with his esports with Tempo. Everyone here at the NPL is really proud for him doing it, because we see it as another opportunity for AIM to grow. And unfortunately, with time delays and things like that, and him focusing on that contract, and he's always got to honour that contract. He can't play week 2. He did forfeit against Gator, which is a real shame for all of us, because we were all hyped to see that match, because everyone was saying how Gator and AIM haven't played a serious match against one another in such a long time. So we are delighted to welcome Blake, also known as Moxie Infernate, to play for AIM for week 2. But for now, I'm going to hand you over to my man Shadow to introduce the first game that we're going to recap for this week of the weekly recap.
Alright, so the first game that we're going to go over is between Trev, coach of the Atlanta Braviaries, versus Danza, aka Crobat for the win, coach of the Los Angeles Nido Kings. Now, this match was quite interesting. We had Danza bringing the superior Entei, Tapu Lele, Mega Alakazam, I believe. It was Mega Alakazam. Yeah, Mega Alakazam, Gigalith, and Excadrill, versus Trev bringing Celesteela, Reuniclus, Silvally, Alomomola, Diancie, and Mimikyu. And on Danza's side, something that really worked well for him was he had a bit of a mini Sandcore going in Gigalith and Excadrill, and at one point in the match, I'm not sure which turn it was on, but Danza was able to set up Sand with Gigalith, along with setting up a Gravity to be able to deal with the Celesteela better, and he was able to take that and switch into Excadrill, which that plus I'm not sure if he was running Sand Force or Sand Rush, but with the Sand up, it definitely helped him a lot to be able to get some decisive kills on Trev's team. And overall with that, and also the fact that later on the Entei on Crobat for the win side was able to come back in and revenge kill Celesteela once the stand ended. And all in all, Trev was able to successfully get the 3-0 win. So Do you guys have any other thoughts on this match?
You go first.
Alright, so I actually helped Trev prep for this game, and yeah, it was a really, we both thought his matchup going in was actually pretty good, but Trev told me after the game that Dan just came out playing really aggressively, and if you watch the battle, you know that's true. He's made some aggressive doubles, got into his Gigalith on his Diancie, set the stand up, SD'd with Excadrill in front of an Aloe. He was playing really aggressively, and it really threw Trev off, and he didn't really know how to combat that, and it was really tough for him from there on.
I definitely think the one thing that Dancer did that Trev didn't do is that the unique sets that each of the coach tried to bring. So for example, Autonomized Celesteela was really outdone by a few over-predictions by Trev against, for example, Dancer. So Dancer bringing the gravity on Gigalith really threw Trev off, because that meant that he couldn't just stay in with his Excadrill. He had to wear out gravity turns, and then the crit happened. That crit really sucked. But then again, at the same time, Dancer goes into what Trev assumes to be Choice Band Entei, thinking, game's nearly clinched, and it's actually scarfed, and that really just pays off in Dancer's hurt. And I think that was really the difference between these two sides, is that what each team tried to bring that wasn't normal, I think Dancer just did a much better job of that, and that's why Dancer came out victorious.
I think that and the fact that Trev did not play very safe with his win con is what really ended up costing him the game.
Yeah, definitely. Like if Trev was, I feel like the game would have been a lot closer if Trev played more with his safer with his win cons, like Celesteela, trying to scout, like, oh, he may not be banded, but I'm not too sure yet, trying maybe to scout a bit more and getting a bit more info on the team that Danza brought for this match.
Definitely going to be Jarr Bros looking at what we think was one of the better games of this week. Mama Jolt took the kids to the circus, took them to the carnival. He wanted to show them a few, fun time for all. And we were very lucky to have our cameraman there. We had our good friend Jarr Boss at the carnival. And do you want to tell us what happened in that match, Jarr Boss?
I will do that. So this was a really good game. Play by both sides. Carney brought the Nihilego, Milotic, Hydreigon, Mega Aggron, Conkeldurr, and Diggersby, while Jolt brought the Mandibuzz, Mega Lopunny, Nidoking, Latias, Metagross, and Electros. So overall, this was a really good game. So Jolt did pick up a 4-0 in this match, and the main reason he did it was because he just brought Mons that matched up really well, and I think it all started with the fact that Carney could not break his Mandibuzz, Metagross, Electros kind of core. I think he had 2 Assault Vestors in Electros and Metagross. Nihilego couldn't break Metagross, and the things that could break Metagross couldn't break Mandibuzz, i.e. Diggersby, Hydreigon, Mega Aggron even to some degree. Mandibuzz was really the biggest problem because the only thing that could beat Mandibuzz on Carney's roster was the Nihilego, which was hard-walled by the Metagross. Like, Jolt was literally laughing at the 7% a Psychic did. But powered with that defensive core, he brought a very nice Latias set that was sub-toxic, which was able to stall down a few of his Mons. Not Calm Mind, just sub-toxic. Was faster than things, stalled them out, hit things hard, dropped a Draco, I think. Mega Lopunny was very close to sweeping in this game. At the end, he was setting it up for that the whole time. But the surprise, probably MVP of this game was Nidoking. It was a mixed Nidoking that was life-orbed with Earth Power, but the rest was physical. Thunder Punch, Poison Jab, Earth Power were the only moves we saw from it. And he was able to lure in the Mega Aggron, hit that thing with a powerful Earth Power, and I believe it picked up 2 KOs and did a hefty damage to the Milotic. So, Nidoking definitely the MVP, but not to say Carney didn't have a good game. Carney had some very, very fine moments in this game. His use of Diggersby was one that I particularly liked. He brought in an SD set, which Jolt was mostly fearing more than any other set he could have brought, and that SD set was almost what could have potentially brought the game back, but it was just Jolt's a massive priority. He had Bullet Punch on Metagross, Fake Out on the Lopunny, Sucker Punch on the Nidoking. The ST Diggersby was a very, very good set, but it just didn't have enough in the tank to get him back into the game.
Really, I just think, I think this match really just shows how sometimes standard play what you see on ladder cannot transfer into league format. So Carney, for example, could have set up, another few SDs on that Mandibuzz and gone for a quick attack and then won. But because of Carney didn't know that if it had foul play or not, Jolt reveals in his team builder that it isn't foul play. I think if Carney went for another one, I think Carney could have potentially won the match. And I think what I see in that play is so much it was a safe play, but at the same time, the main issue with that play is that when you're in those positions, and I really want to stress this to any of the coaches and anyone trying to get into league format, I've learned this particularly from VGC, sometimes you just have to risk the play. So if the play, for example, is to try to risk Stickers be getting to +6, and then when he goes in a lot and he click protect on the fake out, I think it was quick attack protect, I think. I might have Carney set wrong there, but if I do apologize. But really, sometimes you just got to risk it, and you never know what you're going to have to risk. You may have to risk getting 3 crits. You may have to risk, which I really liked Carney's play the next turn of going for that quick attack crit. But sometimes you really just have to risk it. And I think that's where Jolt and Carney, when Jolt has the offensive momentum, you have to then make some of those aggressive plays. And you will see in another one of these matches where those aggressive plays really paid off for one of our coaches with probably the win in the game of the week, in my opinion. But when you're playing down, you always need to take the risk, because sometimes you never know what your opponent's got. Like, for example, I've seen teams where people run like Mega Aggron with no attacking moves. You know what? It just happens in league play sometimes. But I really think that's one key component I want Carney and any coach to just when they're down and you have...
If you're done, Birb, I think that there was definitely, his best play was to SD again, but like you said, he didn't know about foul play, but I don't think he could have quite pulled the game back, because I don't believe he had Protect on the Diggersby, and I believe Jolt had 3 forms of priority left, so it definitely was his right play, but I don't know if he could have pulled the game all the way back.
Yeah, definitely. I think what happened there was me being a noob with Discord really I think I took my finger off the push to talk, but yeah, but I think too as well, it's still just about risking it, unfortunately. I think, even if you couldn't take a fake out and quick attack from that Megalopony, I just think sometimes you have to make those balls to the walls play, and sometimes they pay off, unfortunately, but you never know. Yeah, so I have the great fortune in reviewing my friend Dallas Boy 1992's San Antonio Swampert. Sorry guys, I've seen South Asian Swamperts too many times, it's the same acronym. Apart from that, against my my convict friend up in Brisbane. For those who don't know, the reason why we call him a convict is because he is British living up north, so he's a convict. So when you look at the 2 matchups of these teams, Dallas brings D-Dance Mega Charizard X with Thunder Punch, which I thought was a really interesting bring. I think it was Thunder Punch, Earthquake, Roost. I really still question that set, but Dallas got it.
It did have Dragon Dance, I believe. I'm pretty sure it was Dragon Dance.
I think it was Dragon Dance, Thunder Punch, EQ actually. I think it was with the Roost as well. With Decidueye with Spirit Shackle, we don't get to see much of it. Cobalion, it's a really interesting set. Regular Blastoise with Rapid Spin, Rotom Wash as a Volt Switcher, and Dual Dance Lando. Abe on the other hand brings SD Kartana, Scarf Zerkatry, Rocks Nidoqueen, Mega Altaria with a very special attack set. I haven't seen Dallas's team builder, so unfortunately I'm not entirely sure of his team. I think it was Curse, Rocky Helmet, Snorlax, so the Charizard, Bloom Doom, Volcanion. So before getting into this match, I think that one issue which I think a lot of people should see is that looking at the 2 matchups, you can tell that Abe has brought a much more wall breaky type team, whereas Dallas has brought a much more defensive, offensive team. But this game is a great example of momentum, and just really trying to show people that just because your opponent has the offensive momentum, they don't always sustain it. So when you look at the match, Dallas plays impeccable early game. Going for the Hydro Pump on the Stealth Rocks, and then the next turn going for Volt Switch on the expected Volcanion, going into Cobalion on the Zen Headbutt, predicting that Nidoqueen will want to come back in. But then it all sort of goes downhill when he predicts the Katana coming in. Decidueye gives him a free SD and goes to the Spirit Shackle. If he was HP Fire, I would have clicked it, but that Night Slash is an easy KO. Bluffing Lando with Scarf was a very good play on his part. I think that would have been the moment to SD. Unfortunately, he doesn't, but, going for an EQ there. Fire Blast, Abe doesn't get the burn, FML, unlucky play. Going into Snorlax does a great play in scanning for the Ice Punch and goes into his Blastoise to spin away those hazards. Abe gets the paralysis there, but then it sort of goes down here for Dallas. He lets his Blastoise go down to Plume Doom. Now, he had sort of two plays here. He could have went into Rotom Wash and clicked Volt Switch, invites back in that Katana. He could have went for a Hydro Pump, predicting the Nidoqueen would want to come in. But I think his best play was to go into a Water Wash, because if Volcanion has Bloom Doom, it means that it's running Solar Beam. Unfortunately, Dallas doesn't make that play. He decides to go into Lando, clicks Rock Polish, and Abe makes a really no-risk play there by just going for the Steam Eruption. And then it's all downhill for there, because unfortunately for Dallas, he doesn't have enough offensive momentum to break the rest of Abe's team. Cobalion, like the Circuitry, is such a powerful one. Sack his bombs there. To Thunderbolt, losing Lando is his only, switching. Unfortunately for Dallas, he loses 5-0, and that's a crazy match, because I don't think anyone expected that, especially with Abe having what we consider one of the weaker teams. But I think the main aspect of this game is really about, let me just look at the right turn for you guys, but it's about turn, I think 17 or 8, no, is it? No, it's not. It's turn 14. The play is just to EQ. If you're going to go into Orlando, don't risk it. He then invites in the Circuitry for HBIs. Just go into Cobalion, check it, and things like that. I think that's the only real misplay there, but I just want to, that just shows you that Abe was on the defense sort of first 13 turns, but by 2 plays, he's all of a sudden changed the momentum of the match. Do you guys have anything else to say about that match?
You can go first.
Alright, so I agree with basically everything Birb said. Very good game played by Abe. Besides the first 5 turns, I think Abe was actually mostly in control of the match. I'm not sure where his Landorus prep was outside of Altaria, but I think that Altaria set was actually maybe one of the best sets of the week. We might have overlooked when we get there, because that Draco Meteor, Fire Blast special defensive Altaria actually put in a lot of work this game. But yeah, I think Abe just played this match really good. Like when you said, when Dallas did make the misplay, I think Abe pretty much just played how he needed to. He really stepped up and he just did what he had to secure that victory.
Yeah, definitely. Both Abe and Dallas are very good players, and I know I've seen more of Abe's play than I have of Dallas. However, even though with that, I agree with everything you guys have been saying with that one slip up that Dallas made. Abe was just able to take the game as a very solid victory for himself, despite him having a weaker team. Having good enough skill can definitely, having good enough skill and being able to make the right plays can help a weak team go far in a league. That's usually how I think about it. And going off to also what we were talking about with risks, I remember in the previous battle we were talking about, Bird was talking about taking risks, and in this battle, Dallas took a bit too much of a risk in the going for Rock Polish, and you really just gotta weigh your options when you're doing battles. That's how I like to think about it, because there are some risks that you can take, but they may not work out for you, and they could cost you the game. But at the same time, there's risks that you don't take, and if you had taken that risk, you could have won that game. That's how I like to think about it.
I kind of just say there's no bad teams in the NFL. Like Abe's team isn't bad. It's just every team is a threat this year. So I think that play is going to be a big thing, and if you choke one turn, that could cost you a game. That's how competitive the NPL is this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely the standard is definitely always relative, guys. So, I think we talk about this a lot in the NPL. The standard is relative. So we see that a majority of these players would top cuddle, reach playoffs of any respective league that they enter of their choosing. So I didn't mean so much that he was a bad player. I just meant that the draft he drafted is generally considered amongst a few of the analysts to be one of the weaker drafts. That's not trying to detract anything from his skill level or anything like that. I just want to make that clear. It's more so the fact of, even though he had one of the weaker drafts, he still played immaculately this game and really just, not proved, but more so showed that even though the team is looked upon weaker, it's still a very strong team with some massive offensive threats. But Shadow...
No, I agree.
Shadow, why don't you talk about what we refer to as the David versus Goliath fight? You know, this is like The Undertaker comes down at WrestleMania. You know, it's WrestleMania, 21, 22, and he's faced with my client, Brock Lesnar. He's come out, and you know, the music's playing, and everyone's like, oh shit, it's not that easy bit for The Undertaker. But just like The Undertaker v Brock Lesnar, when Undertaker actually got TKO'd by technicality but continued on their match, one little thing for Gypsy went wrong, and unfortunately the wheels of the Sydney train fell off. So Shadow, why don't you let the people know about our Brock Lesnar fight?
Alright, so in the match between Gypsy King, the reigning NPL champion, coach of the Sydney Sharpedos, versus Togavor, coach of the... Oh, why am I blanking on his team? Arizona Carvanas. So, Gypsy brought the Mega Gardevoir, Infernape, Shaman, Uxie, Golisopod, and Dragonite, while Togavor brought the Thunderous Therian, Minior, Mega Venusaur, Tentacruel, Bronzong, and Weavile. And this Weavile proved to do very well for Toge, securing him two kills, as well as in the first kill, which was against the Shaman, he got a crit, which was able to basically conceal what item he was. He did eventually reveal to be Ice Plate, I believe, or whatever the plate is called for that increased Ice type move. But getting a crit on the Shaman to knock it out, that was able to make it so that the Gypsy would not know that he was Ice Plate, and not knowing his item, keeping his item still an unknown entity. But then afterwards, he's able to a bit later on in the match, he's able to get another kill on the Mega Gardevoir, which definitely is major for Togavor. And then I think Gypsy really played with his Golisopod very well, using the new move First Impression, which those of you who are new to the meta like I am, who don't know too much about the meta, First Impression is basically kind of like Fake Out, except in terms of like it has priority, except that First Impression just does not flinch, and I believe Golisopod is the only mon that gets them. So Gypsy was able to play really well with switching that in and out. Like First Impression got a kill on Weavile, knocking out that major threat, and there was a very long struggle trying to get Togavor's Venusaur gone from the match, but Togavor just played it very well, having Leech Seed, Synthesis, Sludge Bomb, and probably like Grass Stab. I'm not sure if he revealed it, but Togavor did very well at clicking Synthesis at the right turn, being able to whittle down the Uxie, and Togavor ended up getting the 2-0 victory against our reigning champion. So do you guys have any thoughts on this match?
He's one of the best players I've ever seen, honestly, in League format, and Toge is no slouch himself, so this was destined to be a battle of two very, very heavy forces meeting, and I think it just came down to I think Toge explained the game pretty well if you go watch his point of view, but I think it just came down to I just want to say I really like Toge's team. I think he might have had a team matchup in this game, but I think it's just because he's got good walls, good wall breakers on both physical and special side, and I don't think Gypsy's play necessarily lost him the game or anything. I think it might have just been Toge's draft and his ability to play well with it is what won him this game.
I think that the only thing that I sort of saw in this match, and unfortunately I'm going to be a bit critical of Gypsy, is that with new Z moves and things like that, I don't know why he didn't try to bring like Supersonic Strike Dragonite for that Venusaur. That's it. That's the only thing I could see on prep. Bringing the dual bands and things like that. I'm sure the reasoning. The low roll definitely sucked with Golisopod. There's unfortunately a few things. As we said, Gypsy was the undefeated champion. Fun fact, this is the second time Toge's ended a winning streak of 10 or more. The first one he did was, I believe in Season 5, when he ended Trev's streak, actually. I think 8 or 9 games they were talking about the other day in call. So Trev's now renowned as breaking the streaks. But I definitely see that both players, this was a Clash of the Titans match, Toge, in my opinion, just played and out-prepped Gypsy to a degree. But Mega Venusaur is definitely one of the mons that a lot of people will agree in League format. It's like a cherry ripe. You either use it very well and you enjoy it and it's delectable, or you just bloody hate the thing and no one knows how it works. So I think that's really what this game came down to, was just Mega Venusaur was too much of a wall, and Gypsy, that crit really early on really hindered him because he lost his Mega Gardevoir, and he says in his side of his point of view that if it wasn't Ice Plate or Banded, he would have been fine. But in predicting it being Banded, he knew that a Banded Pursuit would knock out the Gardevoir. He can't preserve his Gardevoir and things like that. I think that really makes a difference for this match.
I agree with that. I think he said it in his recording, I believe, but he hindsight 2020, obviously, he should have predicted Icicle Plate because Ice Shard Weavile was one of his only checks to Dragonite, even though it gets E-Speed. But yeah, hindsight 2020, it was a very, very, very good game, and I have a lot of faith that both of these guys are going to have good seasons because they are both giants in this league.
Jarr, let me set this for you in the next game, because you're going to recount this. So I don't know if people know this, right? Merc has a pet lizard, right? He calls it Zezo. Keeps it in a cage all day, because that's what Merc does. Merc once told me, don't let your memes be dreams. I think a lot of people think it was Sheila Beef that said that great line, was infamously said by our good friend Mr. Merc. And on the other side, we have Mr. Cyberbully Superstar himself, the king of triggering people. If he was a gun, mate, he would always just have that trigger ready. He's a trigger ready man. Iron Flash Gaming. And in what I predicted to be Game of the Week, I was not let down. This was a match for the ages. So Jarbros, take it away.
All right, I will. So, as Birb said, he predicted it to be Game of the Week, and it really was. If you watched the battles, you saw this. You probably like this one the most. It was Merc versus Iron Flash Gaming. Merc was bringing his Terrakion, Swellow, Jirachi, Crook, Latios, and Sylveon. Iron brought he doesn't like it when I call him that, Kyurem Black, Registeel, Mew, Thundurus, Greninja, and Darmanitan. Now this one was a very, very close, interesting game. You had Anthony bringing his Mew, his Registeel core, that was a huge problem for a lot of Merc's team because they do complement each other really well. You had Merc bringing his Sylveon Jirachi core with a lot of offense. It was a very offensive-oriented game outside of a few defensive mons. But what this game ultimately came down to was some really nice prep on both their parts. And I didn't see any crazy sets in this game. You had Z-Move, Thundy, but outside of that, I don't think it was a lot of crazy sets. I think this game just came down to his offense being harder to switch into than Merc's, and as you saw, it came down to a modest or timid Swellow, and the Swellow was timid, and the Kyurem Black lived the hit, and that was all she wrote. Y'all have any thoughts? It was a great game to watch. I would recommend watching it.
I think this match, for a lot of players, if you're new to the format, or I don't know how much experience you have, both of these players demonstrate one skill, which was resilience throughout this battle. You did mention it did come down to a modest or timid Swellow, but we have a few other players, like, for example, Merc having to sack his Jirachi because of Flare Blitz miss, and then goes into his Latios, sets up a DD, and then Zazo's on the back foot, gets a crit, Zazo goes for the Toxic. And the reason why I encourage people to check out both sides of this battle when Zazo has the time to upload is that both of these players had opportunities to win this game that was given to them by hacks, but Zazo just clinched it. And when I say, what I mean by clinch is, I mean that when you look at the way the hacks influence both sides of the battle, Zazo just sacked 3 mons to the Latios, and then still comes out victorious. He makes the smart play by sacking his Greninja to a waterfall, I was interested to see that play. I would have preferred to see, Zazo then mentioned that, in re-prepping that not having gunk shot was a bit of a misplay, but then, cleans up with Ironhead. But this game came down to, I think, like 10%, between these two opponents. And that was just a crazy match. And I think as a, aspiring Pokemon trainer like myself, it really just provides an opportunity to see two of the best renowned players in their respective tiers, so Merc being a GPC champion, Zazo being CPC champion, just to sort of play, and Merc sniped Zazo 3 or 4 times in his draft, and that really just set up this rivalry, which was just an incredible match to watch.
Yeah, definitely. It was a really good match. I remember when it was happening live, I only caught it like towards the end, but after watching through the replay, like the night that it happened, I saw like how close that match was. It was just an exceptional match.
So now it's time for my section. Okay, guys. So we here at NPL have decided that this sort of season that we're going to refine the way Pick'em Crew is done, and this all started off because Togue said, "Birb, what are my odds of beating Gypsy?" And I told him, "Ha ha ha, you'll never beat Gypsy, you bloody muppet." I was like, actually, that's unfair to my good friend Togue. I'll make some ridiculous odds. And I was like, you know what, let's make odds for every game. And so replacing Pick'em Crew this week this season actually, is going to be Birb bets. So currently only between the analysts and coaches. Let me just sort of explain the rules of Birb bet. So the rules are, the first week you join as a picker or a gambler or you start off with $40 dues, which is fake currency, but some people like to believe it's the real currency of Sydney. I think a lot of people just hope that me and Gypsy go to the shops together and, we go to Woolworths and we pay our $30 dues for our loaf of bread. So players, so if you are a coach, coaches can only bet on the games they play and bet on themselves. They can bet on any game, but they can only bet on themselves per game. You can only make one bet per game, so you can only pick one side. You can't pick and choose. You can't be like, I'm going to pick Merc, turn 30, I'm going to pick Zaza. That's not the way it works here. I'm responsible for making the odds, and each week I'll look at matchup, how each player plays. If for those who haven't watched Jan's video yet, we're in for a bit of a treat. You DM me your bets, but most importantly, the prize we're all playing for, the winner gets to be adopted by Joel. Because those who don't know Joel, he's a beautiful man with a beautiful haircut, and I would love just wake up purring one morning to Jolt being like, "James, there's eggs downstairs for you." And just be like, "Whoa, best waifu ever, am I right?" So the week 1 odds were Gypsy $1.80.
I would just like to say that I'm already adopted by Jolt, so I have nothing to play for.
No wonder you come on last then.
True.
Togue was $2.80 to Gypsy's $1.80. Merc was $2.10 to Zaza's 1.9. Gator was $1.30 to Joey's $3. Danza was $5 to Trev's $1.05. And as Birb learned out the hard way, we lost a lot of money at Birb bets because bloody Danza won. Razor was $2, Rizzy Power was $2.10, Carney was $3, Jolt $1.50, Abe was $2.20, Dallas $1.80. So when we look at the bets for each week, and I'm only going to tell the viewers at home what my bets were and whatever my analysts were that were joining me on the show. Jabos, why don't you start off with what you betted on?
Alright, now, this didn't go well for me. I put all my money on Merc, which I put it on the closest game. My strategy is every week put all my money on the game I feel has the best odds of winning. And Merc was like, what, 2.1? Was it, Birb? What was Merc's?
2.1 to Zazo's $1.90.
Exactly. So I have I know Merc. He's a great battler, and I thought, I could double up here, and I didn't. I lost all my money. That's it. That's all.
Yeah. So my bets were, I had $4 on Gypsy. Gypsy lost. I had $10 on Zaza to win. Thank goodness Zaza did. Joey had $1 on Joey to win, but because of the forfeit, I got my money back. But those who did bet on Gator did get the payout. I had 20 on Trev, biggest mistake of my life. I had $1 on Riz, $3 on Carney, and $1 on Dallas. None of them came up trump, so I only got $20 back in my bank. $20 dues, unfortunately. A bit bit broke at the moment. Shadow, on the other hand, he put $5.
You think you're broke?
I mean, you just lucky to get 10 cents back for every bet Jarr. So you got 10 cents every
Gotta spend money to make money.
Got to go into crippling debt to make money, as they say in America. Shadow put $5 on Danza with that surprise package, getting a nice payout. So we're going to look at the standings for this week. And for those who don't say Birb is not competitive, I will have to lie with you about that, because I think Birb very competitive. No, don't pay any attention that the person that's winning is KD, aka Toge's sister, who, because she called Rizzy a bad player in Cole, we made her put $40 dues on Chris winning. Chris won. She's currently winning with $112 dues. If we think about it like this, she has 119.90 cents more dollary dues than Jarbros.
That's how I do all my math.
Yeah. Zazo's second with $76 dues after paying off a nice 40 on himself. Then my good friend Carney with 64, and we're just going to go over the top 3 bets. So Carney had a very, very interesting bet, putting $2.75 on Gypsy, $3 on Zazo, 2 on Gator, 5 on Dancer, 2 on Razor, 5 on Carney, and $2.25 on Dallas. Some very nice payouts there for him, only spending 21, but making 45 back. This really is a nice payout for him. Now we look at the week 2, and look at our week 2 odds. There's going to be a few surprise ones this week, but I'm only going to give a brief explanation on why these odds are the way they are. So Toge is $1.20 against Blake, who's $1.60. I really think Toge, after becoming the Brock Lesnar, is really just going to have a really strong season this season, and I don't see Blake, when you don't have a flying resist to a Minior. Next up we have Mr. Please Adopt Me, Jolt, $1.20. Against Don't Let Your Memes Be Dreams, Mr. Merc at $1.40. Unfortunately, Merc decided not to draft a Mega Lopunny switch-in, so I'll be interested to see what he does about that. But definitely going to be an interesting match. Next up is Dallas at $1.50 against Trev's at $1.30. Don't bet on Trev. He likes to throw matches and then go in my face. You know what, Birb? I lost and you lost $20 dues. Shut the fuck up, Trev. Next up we have Cloud at $1.30 against Gypsies at $1.50. Now this game is going to be a lot of people go, Birb, you can't do bets. Gypsy should be $1.05 against Cloud. But I think Cloud's going to surprise a few people. I think that I can't spoil what Cloud's bringing, but I think what he's going to bring is very effective. And Gypsy's
before the 6-0.
Cloud has lost 8-0 this week. Dang it. So yeah, but I'll tell you now. The amount of money put on Gypsy so far is nearly $200 dues. So it's definitely something crazy.
My
Danza's
10 cents is in that 200.
Danza is $1.20 to Seb's $1.60. I did promise Danza that he would be the lowest favourite this week if he did beat Trev. He did. Next up is Resi Pow. Also, he wants to be referred to as PewDiePow at $1.30 against A.
Alright, that pumps him up to $5 right there. There's no way that guy can win a battle.
Next up, we have my good man, Anthony Zizzo. Yeah, Mr. Keemstar himself, $1.20 against Razor's $1.50. Gator $1.50 against Carney's $1.60. Definitely some money to be made off. And I'm going to talk about my bets for this week. So I've got Blake at 10 cents. I've got Merc at $4. He bloody better not let me down, Merc. Trev at 10 cents. Cloud at 10 cents. Seb at $10. Abe at 10 cents. Zazo at $2. Gator at 2. If no one wins this week, I'll have $3 for next week. The only person that can't overtake me is Jarbros. But apart from that, I'll be at the bottom of the pack. Jarbros, do you want to explain what your bet is for this week?
I put it all on Gypsy. All 10 cents. Gypsy, come through, buddy.
And Shadow, what about your bets?
Alright, so I bet was it? Oh yeah, I bet $10 dues on Gypsy, and then another 5 on Top Tier Boy.
How long have we been recording for? This is the week we have Seb's Raikou, the Choice Scarf Raikou really gave Seb a lot of momentum and really just helped him this week. The thing about it was it just pressured Cloud so much that I think he got 3 or 4 kills. Next up we had Jolt's Mixed Nidoking, which lured the hobo into the trap. We like to call that the lion snare in the carny business. And next up we have Dance's Gravity Gigalith against Trev, and Gravity really just helped put so much offensive pressure on Trev that unfortunately Trev couldn't win. So guys, I know that we rushed through it a little bit at the end, but we did briefly touch over our previews for next week, and so until next time, I've been Flying Birb. I have been joined by my good friend Jarr.
Hello, I'll see y'all later.
And I have been joined by my good friend Shadow. Peace.
Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time.